You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the Meta. The Meta controls everything. The Meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching The Meta Show.
Hello! Welcome to the Meta Show! We're live! It works! I didn't break it! Oh my goodness.
The system works? Well, I don't know. We're going to have to wait to see reports as to whether we have audio delay, whether our mouths are moving. And
no, we shouldn't have any of that. That's only whenever I put the video on the server, and we're not doing that, so...
That's pretty awesome. We have a beautiful view of a Keepstar, which I know has been
this is the MO Keepstar. Yeah, this is
the MO Keepstar.
Yes,
okay,
this is
so
the evac star.
The background. Excellent. Well, we're going to be talking a lot about that today. What we're going to go through first is we're just going to go talk about what we're going to be having on the show. Let's see. First things first. Today's top story, when we get there, is going to be talking about the CO2, a Circle of Two, who were, of course, traitors during the Casino War, turning against the Imperium, flipping sides in Tribute, are now having to evacuate Tribute in the face of the conquering forces of Pandemic Legion, Pandemic Horde, NC Dot. And they are CO2 is being backed up by their only remaining allies of Test. So we're going to be talking about that at the top story. And later today, we're going to get to the guest segment, and we actually have Killabee from PL. We have Capri Sun Craft Foods from Test, and I think we are getting Kelmac from
NC Dot. Kelmac will be here today. He's waiting to join us in a moment, so yeah.
It's going to be fantastic. So between that, we also have a minor diversion into when we get to the Nullsec Power Hour. We're going to be talking about not just the War and Tribute, we're going to be talking about the Conflict and Catch. We're going to have a little side digression into discussing what exactly it is that happened with the people who were banned for RMT in the aftermath of the Casino War, and how they are claiming to have not actually been banned from RMT, and how they are wonderful people that are unique, special, and different. And then we're going to go into our guest segment at the half-hour mark and talk to our guests about that. So one last thing before we get started, we are going to shamelessly promote the multi-dollar media empire. We have, as of this week, shut down thebattalion.com. It's just all Imperium news now. And we are paying through the nose. If you're interested in writing about EVE Online, we are starting with 500 million ISK per article. You're on an editorial team, so you have a specific editor. You can also join our stream team. If you want to join the stream team, join our Discord server and come chat with the guys. And yeah, it should be good fun. So excellent time all the way around. I think we're ready for moving on to our top story.
So, hold on, no, we have two people. We have some resubscribers. We have a 2-month. Thank you, Jace Nadaru. I think that's how you say your name. And then Iceburn, 24-month resubscriber.
Iceburn.
24 months.
And wow, the Twitch.
Oh, yeah, they come. They're all coming in now. Oh my god.
Okay, so for people who are not aware of how the Bezos Bucks things work, if you are a Twitch Prime subscriber, you actually have to mash the button every month on our channel. We do appreciate the support. It's not an auto-renew kind of thing. Thing on a Spring, subscribing for 19 months in a row.
25 months? Jesus Christ.
Also, this is an important thing. I want to talk about subscribers for a moment before we get into the top story. One of the things that Skeptic Nerd Guy, who is running our streaming division now, is looking at John Hartley. Excellent. Thank you so much for the Twitch Prime.
Favonus. Yes.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Favonius. Wow. Sub-hype. What we want to start doing is we've already begun doing some research. Gommel has been doing this, of looking for a package of benefits we can give our subscribers that other successful streams have. And one of the things that we're going to be doing soon, Incubus, 7 months. Thank you. what we want to do is have it such that like your the sub icon actually changes depending on how long you've subscribed, and we want to get rid of the Mittani.com spy guy, replace it with like a black eagle. But basically the idea is like the longer you subscribe, the cooler your sub icon will be. And there's a few other things that we're looking into adding into the package.
Yeah, we talked about
cool
that.
Shit.
We had a meeting done about that on Wednesday. We talked about ideas, and we'll have that all for next week. So yeah.
So yeah, one final bit of shameless plugging. I really do appreciate the sub hype. Is that if you are interested in joining the stream team, we actually do have an Imperium News Network team on Twitch. You can join our Discord server, which I've linked there, and you can talk to both the editors, the writers, and your favorite streamers, as well as Skeptic Nerd Guy, who runs our streaming division, if you want to do that. So more interesting things are in progress, and we're pretty pleased by them. So
yeah,
that is that.
So someone just asked, where's Kelmac? Kelmac's right here. I added his image. So yeah, now we move into top story, and so great shout outs to some awesome dudes. A guy named
Am I gonna see this?
Yes, you'll see it in just a second. It'll just
Okay.
be just a second. I'm trying to remember the guy's name who made this other stuff. Ah, crap, I can't remember his name. But anyways, but here's top story.
Thanks,
No. So yeah, we have a top story infographic that's supposed to be on top. Rip. Well, there it is. Yay! It doesn't have any audio yet, but there you go.
I have to wait to see this.
Yeah,
Hopefully
you'll
it's
have to
exciting. Boat has been bouncing up and down with excitement as to.
I'm always bouncing up and down. But...
That's true, you are. That's one of the most. Oh wow, that's actually.
Yeah.
Damn.
So that was.
Damn, son.
Yeah. So that was made by Oler.
Wow.
Yeah. So just randomly this week,
Wow.
two Minitrue guys get a hold of me and we're like, "Hey, we made you a bunch of cool stuff." So now we have a bunch of cool stuff. That one doesn't have audio, but the other two do, and you'll get to
We
those.
can get some audio on it.
We'll get to it. But yeah.
We're working on this. I mean, the Imperium News transition is tough. There's a lot of Mittani.com related things, which again is kind of a funny thing historically, that Indy was one of the very people whining the most about the Mittani.com, and he's the reason why it was named the Mittani.com in the first place instead of my Internet Spaceship News idea, which was probably a bad idea. But anyway, top story. Here we go. Let's go ahead and get into it. CO2 announces the evacuation.
Yeah, so this is... I don't even know what to say here. I mean, I guess we all saw it coming eventually, but... What the fuck? Like, why all of a sudden now are they announcing that they're evacuating after they said, oh, we're gonna fight to the bitter end?
I'll drop some links here, and...
We got a lot of links, yeah.
So there's a couple of things here that are pretty wacky with this whole CO2 situation. So it's not just the fact that they evac to Losec. So here's what happened. CO2 has been basing their super fleet in MTACO, which is where they've got the Keepstar that Boat has eyes on right now in our background in the meta show. And earlier this week, CO2's leader, GigX, got together their supers and their titans, and they evacuated to a Citadel, another Keepstar that's actually part of the infamous, well, not really infamous, but they're trying to make it that way, New Eden Trade Network, which is Lenny Kravitz's little post-banning organization, what they're trying to do. So that's kind of a hot mess, because that entire New Eden Trade Network thing, as far as I was concerned, existed to be a place for PL and NC DOT to be able to move things around, and yet...
It gets even better. I mean, that's it right here, but this is a genius move on the part of GigX. Now, GigX isn't known for making genius moves. As you know, he self-destructed a Macarial fleet because he didn't want to get killed, right? He doesn't tend to think. Like yesterday, the day before, he jumped an entire fleet to Losec when they were safe on a Fortizar and then tried to fight in Losec and just got hellblobbed, right? So he doesn't really necessarily make the greatest of moves. But this move with his Titan fleet was, so good. He literally jumped the motherfucker straight to a Keepstar that's owned by Lenny's group, which is CEO'd and chaired, kind of like watched over by Kriba, and said, okay, you can't kill my supers now, you can't kill my Titans unless you come kill this. And if they go kill that, it effectively negates the whole thing.
I think it's actually, I think you're right. I mean, I think it is a brilliant move. Now, what's interesting about this is that it's not really a normal evacuation. We know that CO2 has interest in Venal, which is where PL has a lot of R64 moons, taken in many ways from CO2. We know that CO2 intends to still fight for MTACO. So what's an interesting situation here is that by removing his forces from MTACO back to Aunanen, which is where I last saw that they were, GigX is in a position of Essentially what he's done is said, we can't defend the Sovereign tribute because FozzieSov blows ass, and they're getting, you know, a whole bunch of people coming in and trying to engage in Sov reindeer games. And what it seems to me like what GigX is doing is waiting to see whether PL and NC Dot are willing to fight for the Keepstar. Because if they are, that Keepstar is a force multiplier that potentially, and nobody knows this because they're designed this way, but in practice there's never been a fight on one on Tranquility yet. Potentially, it's a force multiplier that would allow GigX to and Test to strike back against PL and NC Dot's super capital fleet, which, if it succeeds, then they can take tribute back, right? So they let all the idiots do all the FozzieSov crap and then fling themselves at the walls of the Keepstar, and then if they're able to have a pitched battle and succeed, then they can take the Sov back.
So the interesting thing here, too, is so during this all happened during the boat show on Friday. We were live either Friday or Wednesday. I think it was Friday. It's when they... No, yeah, Wednesday. Wednesday is when they pull all their supers out. And I whispered GigX live on stream, and GigX is like, we're not running away here. We're putting our supers in a safe place to where we can drop back in to MO if the fight of the Keepstar happens on Sunday, right? So they're all
gives them a
preparing for
positional
Sunday.
advantage,
right.
exactly.
Instead of just undocking and getting Doomsday to death.
Exactly, because they have no control of that. So if they are outside of there, they can drop back in anywhere on the field that they get a side on.
And also it's a smooth move because I talked to Poison Kevin, who couldn't make it today due to real life. So sorry he couldn't make it, but I talked to him about it, and he was concerned that the original agreement with Lenny with these things was nobody can stage in them, right? Nobody can hide in these things. And then Lenny goes on record with our wonderful Matterall, and there's an article coming with that, where he says, no, anyone's allowed to stage in them, anyone's allowed to base out of them, anyone's allowed to move in if they need to, they're allowed to sell their stuff. So he's making it completely open for everyone. So that really kind of stung a little bit. Also, GigX informed me that the only reason the MO Keepstar wasn't sold already is that Lenny won't buy it, because there's no guarantee from PL that it won't be shot. So we're going to be asking some of our guests about that in a little bit. So, yeah, that's an interesting development with that situation. So GigX is trying to get rid of the thing. He's trying to sell it. But insofar, he hasn't been able to.
So, I mean, is he going to sell it, or is he going to... I mean, you know, how does that work?
I don't know how it works.
Plan to fight for it while simultaneously planning to sell it?
Yeah, I mean, like...
he's got to sort of pick one or the other.
Well, he's being smooth about it, right? Like I said, GigX is not normally known for this. But if he sells it to someone like Lenny, it gives a little bit of guarantees that it won't be hit, right? That was his original plan.
How is he going to sell? I mean, this is the other thing about Lenny, is that Lenny is still banned from EVE, right? So Lenny is
exactly.
And trying to do all these things to, like, basically recover any kind of public esteem, right? The idea behind this New Eden Trade Network nonsense is that the whole I Want ISK crew and the whole Care for Kids, you know, fake charity bullshit people, this C4 or whatever his name is from Rikoku, you know, that crew, they want to basically just whitewash everything they did with I Want ISK. So.
Yeah, so it's very interesting.
But they're still banned, so how is he...
We'll get to that later, but it's interesting to see what he's doing. He's trying to make plays. You know, his move to Venal here, it's looking like the move to Venal is a power play to put in position to help Test and Veil, if he chooses to help Test, because it's just literally 1 or 2 jumps, and boom, he's into Test space. And it's a little bit of Northern Tribute, so the people that are currently in Southern Tribute have to travel a bit to interrupt him. And also, it leaves his Titans, his Dreads, his Carriers, all that stuff, if he chooses to leave it in low sec, right in position if they go for MO. So he's got both ends covered there, so it's really interesting. So he's kind of abandoned Tribute, but he's not given up, which is really weird.
Let's get stuck in. I think it's time for us to move to the Nullsec Power Hour.
Oh, yes! And with Nullsec Power Hour comes another clip, and this one's courtesy of ERJ145.
Actually, wait. Have you already run it? Because we got to give shout-outs to subs.
No, I haven't run it yet, but we have...
All right, let's give shout-outs to subs.
So, Zolman, 6 months to resubscribe.
Zolman, excellent.
Thank you, sir. And I think that's the only one.
I'm scrolling back up.
Did I miss any?
And also Incubus. I think we got Incubus.
Yeah, we got Incubus last segment. Yep.
Excellent. So we got a double shout-out. High fives all around. Sweet. Okay.
Let's see the so this is a courtesy of ERJ145. He's one of our miniature guys, and
I need to watch movies.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and while that's played, JCell210, 18 months. Thank you, sir.
Nice.
So did you get to see it? I probably should have linked it to you. But
I get to basically, like, these things. Whoa! You get to watch my reaction. Whoa! Look at that.
Yeah, it's all fancy.
That's something.
Oh, the next one's gonna really have you rolling. The next one's my favorite by far, like way above and beyond. So, so yeah, now we move into the Nullsec Power Hour, and this one is gonna be less about fighting and more about comedy. I think this one has a lot of comedy.
Well, we've got sort of news here. So even in the Nullsec Power Hour, even if the top story is related to CO2 and the sort of the grand strategy with the evac, we're going to still drill down a little bit more with what's happening in the Northern War. So they have been evacuating in TechO, as we saw, and what the hell is this 160 billion ISK?
Oh yeah, so there's a fight here, and we're gonna link it in chat. So just, I think yesterday or the day before, I don't remember which, I get confused on days when I'm looking through this shit. Yeah, so Horde and Mercenary Coalition counter-drop MOA and Pureblind Coalition in X-7 in a fight over a moon. Just some random moon that MOA was sieging. MOA sieging the motherfucker. Now, the great part about this is MOA's using dreads. MOA's using rattlesnakes. Something that Massadeth would have never used. And then Massadeth and MC in dreads dropping on MOA, who's using dreads. It's a shitstorm of comedy. But this happened in X7 over the moon. I don't even fucking know if the moon was won. It looks like the moon died because there's a bunch of haulers on the ground dead at the end of this kill board. And yeah, it was just a bloodbath. MOA, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. Like, Horde dropping dreads for one, that's a new thing. I don't think we've ever seen that. MC, instead of dropping Titan Supers in the house, dropped dreads and effectively lose 60 billion ISK and shit that they shouldn't have lost.
Well, I'm not really seeing many Horde actual dreads here. Like, looking on the kill board here, there's seeing
like 15 or so. Dreads. Yeah. Well, dreads and carriers. Dreads and carriers. There's carriers too. From Spaceship Samurai is also with Horde. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, so you had a lot of Spaceship Samurai too. Spaceship Samurai's been doing the let's take all the money we've been making and turn it into caps, and then they drop their caps. So, but this is crazy. Like, this should not. This would have never happened with us up north. The balls on these motherfuckers.
I just think it's fascinating because it's like letting children play with guns unsupervised.
Yes, exactly.
Like, I'm looking at this and
just
I'm like,
MOA things, yeah.
Wow. But I mean, just all of it is. I think this is fantastic because the entire time, whenever we see these things happening with the participants in the casino war, as far as I'm concerned, that's 166 billion ISK
removed from the equation.
Our enemies.
Yes,
these are all our enemies, and they're just turning on each other and slaughtering one another. It's glorious. It's like Christmas came early.
Yeah,
that's a lot of times when I watch these things. Speaking of that, moving on slightly to one of the other things going out there. I mean, one of the reasons why, in addition to reposition for the fight for the Keepstar, but you're seeing these movements with CO2, is a major strategic thing did happen this week where the iHub that was in MTACO, which is where the CO2 Keepstar is, did get destroyed. 1,600 people turned up for that kill.
Yeah, that's 1,600 on one side.
Hurricanes. Okay.
Yeah, so there was 2,400 or 24 to 2,200 local. CO2 had 780 people logged in, which was pretty insane. Test only managed to come with like 200 Hurricanes. We're going to ask Caprice about that later. But the total number of hostiles, people trying to kill the thing, was about 1,600. They did have about 100 or so come from Snuff. Snuff actually came into 0-0, and then we showed up with like bombers, and I think we had Sweeples, and we just kind of dicked around. They were winning. Like, CO2 looked like they were going to win the iHub timer. They were doing really well. By forcing a fight on one gate, they forced everyone to come charging back in and go, oh my god, we're losing fax machines, get back here and save them. They killed 3 fax machines on a gate, one which had high-grade slaves, and the fax machine itself was worth like 6 bill. It was like a bait fax. They just nuked that before help could come, and then like there was a big fight on the gate. And PL had to drop its cat fleet.
Yeah.
So there was a big cat fleet drop, and if it wasn't for, I think, everybody and their uncle coming back in, they would have lost that initial fight, and then things could have got worse. And while that fight was happening, CO2 was running around hacking all the shit, right? And then all of a sudden CO2 stops hacking because the fight ends, CO2 gives up on the fight, and then they win the timer. And that was it.
What I want to know also is, earlier today, during the Illume meeting, which we have every Saturday, there was a T3 fleet that got dropped on that CO2 had all formed up and went up into the Venal. Did we actually have a battle report from that?
Yeah, I have that. I just have to find it. I forget where I put it. Give me 2 seconds. But yeah, so yeah, for some reason, I don't know if it was Elo, because Elo is now FCing for them. He's been doing several ops lately. Or if it was Gigex himself, decided to take a T3 fleet right through the center of Tribute with all of EVE around them in Tribute, and it did
on a Saturday.
On a Saturday.
Prime time.
With, like, yeah, let's just say it did not go at all. Here's the link. I think they had 50 some Titans dropped on their head. Supers, an entire Mac fleet, and a bunch of T3 fleets. Like, they just got fucking slaughtered. And it was funny. I was rolling in my seat.
Let's see if we can get this one to work. Looks like the link is slightly busted in Nightbot, but we'll see what we got going on here. Yeah, wow. Okay, that's a 33 billion worth of fax machines and T3 cruisers ruined from Circle 2. Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of folks. I mean, I really just don't know who to root for in this. Whenever we see these guys, oh, excellent, somebody donated. Thank you for the donation.
Yes.
Whenever we see these guys kill each other, I'm like, who am I cheering for? It's all very confusing.
Okay, so the report is Rob Giles, who I've never heard of, was the CO2 FC. I don't know who that was. But that
tells you everything.
That comes, yeah, I don't know who that is.
Well, I want to make sure that we were able to bring our guests on at the 30-minute mark, so let's move on to talking about the Catch War.
Yes, so Catch War, nothing this whole week. It's been like little minor things, easy cleanup. I talked to Apple Pear, and he said that nothing's happened. I talked to some of my friends at Stayed. They said it's been pretty quiet. It seems like after losing 2 separate entire fleets, they've kind of slowed that down all week. It might be because of the holidays, I don't know. Usually holidays is when our enemies tend to like kick things up a notch, but for some reason it's been quiet, so not much to talk about there at all.
Yep, we have another couple of things here. I'm just going to kind of briefly bounce around on this, but one of the other,
yeah.
I want to have an illustration of the kind of hard-hitting, high-quality journalism that you can expect from the multi-dollar media empire here at the Imperium News Network. And, you know, we had to go digging to find a source within the Imperium to find comment upon this. Apparently, FCON lost a Titan to Bomber's Bar, so you have a hilarious Titan kill mail. And this is just, I worked long and hard on this piece of journalism that I linked to you. I wrote it myself, and it was a lot of effort for me to find a high-ranking Imperium official to give a commentary on the perplexing lost mail, which is fuck FCON. So there you have it, folks. Fuck FCON. So that's the update there from that sector of the galaxy. As a side comment, I do want to say it is kind of funny that in terms of the popular articles listing on Imperium News, this is one of our most popular articles, and it's literally just me going, fuck FCON, and with like 3 links. Hard-hitting journalism here, folks. I do want to say that I will probably, now that we can actually write easily using WordPress instead of Drupal, bash out more pieces like this. I don't want to spam the site with a bunch of crap like this, but it's popular crap. So we'll probably see like 2 anchor pieces a day, hopefully, in addition to the occasional, you know, basically just unashamed propaganda piece where I say what I feel like in like 300 words.
This is like a bomb dream, right? I do bombers, and this is a dream right here. To catch something like this, I mean, the guy died in like half a minute.
Killing, I mean, credit to Bomber's Bar, dude. Like killing a Titan of any kind, even if it has no tank, and even if it is FCON.
It gets even better though. Like they could not have done this with what they had. They had no scrams. 40 bombers, which means 40 points, which means that it's not enough to hold the Titan down. So all the motherfucker has to do is warp off in the like 2 minutes he had. So he was so AFK that they were able to anchor a fucking bubble on the motherfucker. Just anchored a bubble on him, and he got stuck in the bubble. He couldn't go anywhere. So, yeah, that's how much time they had to kill this thing.
Wow. Okay.
So he was straight up AFK. Yeah, that's great.
One final bit, which will be a segue into the CCP Police segment, is that the Care for Kids people, I think this was actually posted on Reddit originally by the guy behind Care for Kids, is the whole advertisement for the New Eden Trading Company. I'll link this here. So basically, this thing barely is up. We scouted it from our recon team earlier. But essentially, this is the plan for Lenny Kravitz, who is, of course, behind I Want to ISK and was banned for RMT during the wave of casino bannings and was the financier of the casino war, is trying to go legit by putting up a Citadel network called the New Eden Trade Network, New Eden Trading Company. This is something that we saw before many years ago in the form of ISS, the Interstellar Starbase Syndicate, who also happened to be a front ISS was, of course, funded by Laca Volterra and Band of Brothers, while being a totally neutral, trading-only organization that would never get involved in nullsec politics whatsoever. And how dare you accuse them, much like Care for Kids, how dare you accuse them of being a fake bullshit charity? How dare you, sir?
Yeah.
How dare you say that the New Eden Trading Company, which is funded and built by dirty I want ISK money from someone who was banned for dirty money, how dare you say that this is funded by dark money? Of course, it's totally scrupulously neutral. And now I just think it's fascinating what we were talking about earlier with the CO2 thing is how GigX was using essentially PL and the other enemies of CO2's funding methods, which created this network to then stage in.
To hide it. No, he effectively just like snuck in there like, come get me!
Is, you know, credit to GigX, that is some clever shit. So, segue now, let's get another thing. We're going to do a very short CCP, please.
Yeah,
then we're going to bring in our guests after that.
Oh, it gets better. So we have another one, and this is by far my favorite infographic.
Wait, I forgot.
Yeah, so, Zalman's...
We got to give shout-outs.
Okay, so, Vandar Carmax, Twitch Prime.
Cremax.
Yeah, however you say that. Twitch Prime, thank you, sir. And then we had a $1 donation from Anonymous.
JCell210 subscribed for 18 months in a row.
Ooh, I missed that one.
Yep, and that's why I'm just doing this. I want to give people the shout-outs they deserve. Again, guys, we're trying to do the shout-outs at the end of the segments. We're probably going to update our donation thing and actually get like a donation tracker going on.
Yeah, that's we have one. That donation was anonymous, and it did. All I had was thank you for doing the show.
Well, awesome. Thank you for doing the thing. So,
so
CCP, please.
Oh my God,
what do we got here?
You're gonna love this. You have to be real quiet for this one. Here you go.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
Please, sir. I want some more.
Oh, yeah.
Ninetail Fox, thank you for your 11 months, sir. I love this. Thank you. Again, ERJ145. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The quiet anticipation.
I didn't get to hear the sound, but I did get to see
was
the
sound not there?
Titan and begging for
was the sound not there? He was supposed to say, "Please, sir."
Did you mute us, Boat?
No, I did. Oh no, hold on. You didn't get the sound? Hold on, let's try it again.
No. Everybody else got the sound. I'm muted.
Oh, okay. You muted yourself.
Run it again.
All right, run it again. Because
everybody else wants
this is amazing.
I'll try to mute me and turn the sound on so I can hear it. Let's go.
Please, sir.
The sound was on for everybody else. I keep it muted because I'm streaming, so you can run it again and I'll hear.
I did. So it's a little kid going, "Please, sir, may I have some more?"
Wow.
That is the best infographic I think I've ever had seen.
Done. Wow.
Yeah, so that's Oliver
Twist.
You
know, he must be one of the cancer kids who cares for crabs.
No, that's Oliver Twist. He's much better than...
I know, but he also cares for kids. For crabs.
CCB, please, we'll do this one quickly because I want to bring on our guests. Yeah, this came up, I think it was either Sunday or Monday. I made a comical post because we had a big discussion in Elysium about people who are banned by CCP still being allowed to play. One of the hallmarks of CCP is you get banned for RMT, give us 6 months, we'll review your information, and then we'll allow you to plan a new character. And that's like a big thing, is they'll allow you to come brand new. There's been a couple of goons in the past that were banned for RMT that got to come back to the game, right? But this is an interesting situation. These gentlemen, and that's Iron Bank and Lenny, Iron Bank specifically, was banned from RMT. As far as we all knew, I mean, CCP openly said it at Vegas. They announced it. They talked about it. But then on their website, it doesn't say he's actually banned for RMT. It says he's banned because of his association with gambling. And that's interesting. It's very weird, right? So,
they don't usually say explicitly that somebody is banned for RMT. They'll say that these have been banned for bad stuff, and they don't. In the first place, CCP naming names was unusual. But I think the point that you're headed towards is, Iron Bank is loudly playing again on a new character, and you seem to have made him angry. Both.
Yeah. So an interesting thing about that is, so I posted this thread, and he neckered it like 3 days after it was up, and posted this really angry reply. And on top of this angry reply, I mean, this is the same guy who, on his own show on Twitch, told me to kill myself once, and then said, "Oh, it was just a British joke." La 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 la.
Oh my God! Anybody would tell anybody to kill themselves. That's so awful. Nobody does that except
nobody
me.
does that at all, right?
Nobody at all
So,
ever does that.
he does this.
The only one on the internet to have ever done that.
And the funny thing is that I don't know any Goon Twitch admins. I don't know of any. I know a couple developers that have worked there, but I don't know of any admins. So he goes into this rage post. I'd like it here for you to enjoy. It gets really angry. And the reason that I posted my thread, the discussion happened, is on his Twitch, he's still streaming Eve. He has an Eve character. He's still playing Eve, even though he was banned. And he's still doing giveaways. Which, according to Twitch's rules and assets, if you're banned in a video game, or if you break the EULA in a video game, you cannot continue streaming that game. Or you can't stream, period. They'll ban your account. Right? It's a big no-no. So it was reported by several people, like, how is this even possible? This guy broke EULA violations in Eve, he was banned in Eve, and now here he is streaming and profiting from it. Might I add, profiting, because he's doing subscriber giveaways, which is a big no-no too. And so there's been a big to-do about that, and people are investigating, but he basically says, look, you can't touch me, your evil admins can't get to me, I'm invincible. And
the way that the subscriber rules work is actually pretty clear. So,
yeah.
I mean, this is something that CCP Falcon explained to us, and why we changed how we did subscriber giveaways when CCP clarified the policies. So, just so everybody knows what Boat is talking about here, we are allowed to do giveaways of in-game items as long as they are to everyone, right? You don't have to be a subscriber. We can give away physical goods to subscribers only. So if we have, CCP was kind enough a couple years ago to give us a bunch of collector's editions and Art of Eve books, and we gave those away. So physical goods can be given to subscribers only, because that isn't basically converting the in-game economy into profits and things like that. So if the guy is actually doing subscriber-only giveaways of anything in-game related, the dude is in trouble. But,
he's rules lawyering. So what he's doing right now is, instead of subscriber only, he gives his subscribers like luck chance, 10 times the luck. So it's like if you put 2 names in the hat, a subscriber actually has 10 names, and then the other person gets 1 name.
You know,
so he's trying to rule lawyer. It's a pain.
All I'm going to say is this: some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Yeah, so that's the situation with that. We won't go into any more detail. It was just hilarious. All right,
let's get our guests on.
Yeah, so we'll skip the next 2 things. We'll come back to them another day.
Well,
actually,
let's give some
let's get them on. So
subscribed. We actually had somebody subscribing just at the start of the segment, from what I saw. I saw 9.
Okay, I'm gonna drag you guys in now.
That is it for shout-outs, because we got VHR. Yep, you've got cool.
Do we have I don't have a
guest segment transition?
No, I don't have a guest segment. I do have my debate image, if we want to use that still.
Let's sure. Let's
Ta-da!
We're gonna need some sort of a guest segment thing.
They're working on it, but we have our special debate. Considering we have 3 guests instead of 4, it still works. I think it's funny. I don't care. I love this thing. It's so good.
Okay.
We have our special guest today, so some of you are here, and I'm really awesome.
I like we moved him on in here.
Yes, I dragged him in.
Oh, God, that's right, I remember this.
Yes, from last week. That thing was amazing.
Wow.
All right, so we'll have them each introduce themselves in a moment. So we have Capri Sun Craft Foods from Test. We have Kelmac from NC and we have Killer Bee from Pandemic Legion. So we'll start with Capri Sun. Capri Sun, what do you do at EVE? Because I'm really confused.
Okay, so basically I helped run Black Legion after EULA went AFK, then I went to Tissue, and now I am a dual citizen in Test Lines Please Ignore and Hard Knocks. And I've been FCing for pretty much most of the major fights this war so far.
How does that work if you're both in Hard Knocks, which is PL's wormhole organization, and in Test?
Connie, please. No, they're like...
No, we're curious.
There's like... Oh, right, okay, no, because it's not. There's like 2 or 3 people in HK who have like the same dealio going with PL and HK, the way that I am in like HK and Test. And it's basically like, you just don't let it think. So for example, like if HK has like a wormhole to Test space, I'll just be like, nah guys, I'm not gonna go shoot Test. And equally I won't tell Test that HK has a wormhole. Like, if there's a conflict of interest, you just take your hands off the keyboard and leave it. Like, that's pretty much all there is to it.
That's interesting.
Good introduction.
Alright, so now we have Kelmac. Kelmac, introduce yourself, sir.
Hello, Kelmac, USA FC for NC.
Yay, and then we have Killer Bee! Hi, Killer Bee!
Yo, what's up? I'm PL EUTZFC, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
You guess?
And Killer B
Not
most
sure?
recently gave a presentation at Amsterdam, which I heard was quite well received, talking about how he, and this is unfortunately the sad truth, in the casino war, masterminded our utter destruction and defeat and has ruined us. So that is why, as the victor, so to him goes the spoils, and that's why we're delighted to have him as a guest.
Oh, I'm excited. So, the reason we brought you guys here today, and the reason we're onto this segment, is we want to talk about the Northern War. So, to preface this, as far as everyone's concerned, the Northern War is over in some cases, and we'll hear that from our guests in a moment. But I'm curious, like, how was this war? Because as far as I saw it, the war was like a stalemate up until PL says, okay, we're involved. We're going to make this war. And then, like, a week later, the war's over. So, what happened?
Well, dude, this war was really fun. Like, I mean, it kind of got, like you say, it got rough there, like, at the end when PL came in. But, like, for the first, like, month and a half, 2 months of this war, this is, like, one of the more fun wars I've been in EVE. Because, when it was just, like, NC, MC, and the occasional, like, bat phone versus test and CO2, it was actually really, really balanced. Because even though NC have the huge super cap fleet, I mean, you know nowadays with FozzieSov, it's not as simple as just dropping 100 super caps on a timer. So the fights were actually, like, really balanced and, like, really good fights went on both sides.
And then
more people turned up. And then PL turned up. And then it was just a bit too much.
Well, I mean, here's a question from a test perspective. Now, first of all, I don't think it's reasonable to say that this war is over. I mean, I know that we don't have anybody from CO2 here as a guest, but I just want to ask. I'm going to shift things over to Killer B here and ask him this question, which is, what do you think about GigX's maneuver of restaging his supers in Aunen?
Yeah, I mean, it was a smart move. As you guys already said, it's pretty smart idea to use this Freeport Citadel, or whatever you want to call it, to stage the supers inside it. And, I mean, he says, or he claims that he restaged them there so he can jump on us when we siege the Keepstar. And it makes sense, in my opinion, so we'll see if he actually does that. Then again, they announced their move to Venal, so they're moving their alliance to Venal, but they moved all their supers and titans to Oninen. So, like, that's kind of confusing. It's like, are they going to get rid of their supers and titans, or what's the deal with that?
They are getting rid of them. We bought, like, several of them when they moved.
Yeah, there was plenty up on contracts. There was shit tons up on contracts, but yeah.
How many did you guys see up on contracts?
There was, like... Yeah, go ahead. Come in.
Like, right when they moved, we got, like, 4 titans for all under, like, 85 bill. And then
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There was, like, plenty of supers, too.
That
I
was
know-
like the first 5 minutes.
I ran locator agents to some of their titans, and they were like in Jita within an hour of moving. They were gone.
Yeah.
Like, the pilots themselves just, we're on our way. See you later.
Are you guys
that
actually gonna go for this Keepstar? I mean, I've been sitting here twiddling for
Yes,
months.
that's
watching and
my
waiting,
next
like-
question. So I talked to PK. PK couldn't be here, obviously, and he asked me what I personally felt about assaulting a Keepstar, and is it possible, and how I would do it. And I want to know what you two think, Kelvac and Killer V, because I know how Capri, you guys will be defending it and everything, but how do you feel about assaulting this thing? Do you share the same concerns that Poison Kevin has?
I mean, it is scary because nobody has ever like sieged an online Keepstar. Keepstar does a shit ton of damage. It has multiple defenses, and you need to be able to hit the damage cap while also defending or fighting off whatever defends it. But yeah, I mean, we promised our members we were going to kill it, so now we have to deliver it to them, right? So
You did promise to your members that you're going to kill it? Interesting.
well, I mean, I told them when PL committed to the war. One of the things that what we told PL was, hey, let's commit to this war. Let's help our friends and let's finish this war. And then at the end of it, we're gonna kill a Keepstar. And if I say we're gonna kill a Keepstar, then I'm gonna kill a Keepstar.
Good to know. I want to direct the discussion here for a moment to Kelmac, who hasn't had a chance to talk too much. But I'm curious because you are, of course, an FC for NC Dot and have been through this war during the earlier phases, which lasted more than a month before PL came in, and now, of course, we're getting to the conclusion. Could you basically tell us, from the NC Dot perspective, what you think has been the biggest challenge for your side on offense thus far?
The biggest challenge, I think, was the probably the constellation we started on in Tribute, because that constellation is like, you can't really, I mean, ideally for FozzieSov, at least what I try to do is box them off in like a pipe, but obviously that constellation is it's connected everywhere. There's like multiple exits to each system, so I think that was the biggest problem.
Was it just like difficult to contain CO2 subcap forces? Was it the like when tests threw in coming in for CO2, or was it just the geography?
Mainly the geography. Like a lot of it obviously had to do with how many numbers that they had. Like CO2 had great numbers at the start of the conflict or whatever, and then I feel like tests was coming that way a lot more often than they are currently.
You've seen a drop off in the number of tests supporting CO2?
I feel like I have. What do you think?
Capri-san?
Yeah, Capri, I'm curious about this too.
It was really high at the start, and then it dripped a little, and I'd say it was back up to where it was. Like, we've been bringing, like... I mean, it basically depends on the FC, right? Like, as it does in any alliance. Like, if I ping for fleet right now to do something, I mean, I'll get 200 plus, no bother. The problem is we don't... Test is just in this position with FCs right now, where we've got, like, a lot of, quite a few, like, really good FCs, and, like, a lot of sort of newer FCs, but no one in the middle, that you can sort of just trust with, like, a decent fleet to just sort of get the job done. So we've kind of struggled to bring, like, second and third fleets for that reason. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just a lack of FCs on our part. It's not our members' drops or anything.
Yeah, I'm interested, too, because I read a statement in the CO2's evacuation thread. Test's leader, Durher, I guess you can call him a leader, posted about how he can't wait for the war to be over, because then he could deploy his group and go have fun and get away from it. But then everyone else is saying, "Oh, this has been a fun, this has been a blast." So I'm confused. Like, some people in Test are like, "Yeah, fuck this, we want to get out of this shit." But then other people are going, "Yeah, this is a blast, woohoo! I'm having fun." So, which is it?
I think it depends on the person you speak to, because some people have really enjoyed it and some people have really hated it. Like, that's what I mean. There's not like, I wouldn't say there's like a complete consensus within the alliance of this war. I mean, like, all the guys that I know who've been turning up on fleets have been like, yeah, this has been really fun, because we've just trying to get like kills and fights out of it every time. But like, yeah, I mean, there's a contingent of people who, particularly the ones who fought PL before, the people that are like 2, 3, 4-year-old players, people who, this isn't their first rodeo sort of deal, are kind of just like, oh, it's PL, oh, it's NC, you can't beat them. So they're kind of, they've defeated themselves, if you know what I mean.
I have seen that. That's actually one of the things that's often disturbed me about Test, in that in many cases there are moves on the chessboard that they could make aggressive moves, but they tend to sort of have taken a very subordinate, almost submissive attitude towards people beating the crap out of them and farming them for content, essentially. I mean, on the other hand, I mean, you're being able to fill fleets.
Every alliance has people like that, Like, every alliance is going to have people who are like, oh, no, don't want to log in for... They'll always have some excuse about why it's pointless, so... I wouldn't say it's like a test thing.
In the leadership, I mean.
On leadership level? I don't know, I couldn't really say. Like, I've been pretty free to just do what I want this war. I mean, my attitude pretty much from the get-go was like, we're probably going to lose, so let's just have as much fun as possible while doing it. And then after, like, the first week, it's like, hang on a minute, we're actually, like, winning here. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
What do you... I mean, here's the question. And this is a thing that I should probably direct back to Killa B, but I think it affects all of you in this war, is... And maybe this is just my own pet peeve, and you can say that it hasn't changed anything. But I was surprised by how long this war has taken, and I'm wondering, have you noticed, Killa B, do you believe that there has been any impact upon the pace of the war in the aftermath of the casinos being banned?
I mean, so there was a couple people like me, for example, who got affected by the casino ban, because I obviously got a lot of money taken. Like, they took a lot of my money, because it was...
How much did you lose?
I lost... So they took 300 billion as liquid. They didn't touch any assets. And that was all the money I had on my banker. Spread over all my characters, I probably lost something like a trill.
Gotcha.
On, like, Liquidisk. But, I mean, I was... So... That was alright. Like, I expected it to some extent. I didn't expect it to happen that early, so it kind of hit me off foot as well. But I'm not, like, there's no single Reddit post from me bitching and moaning about it, because I don't really care. Like, as long as I can keep doing fleets and, get my FC ships or whatever, I'm good enough.
You got the keep your vehement, right? the big ass...
the Vanquisher.
Yeah, the Vanquisher.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like I had, like I said, they didn't touch the assets. So in order to pay for that Vanquisher, I had to like basically sell most of my assets though, so I could pay for it. And I did that though because I really wanted that Vanquisher. So yeah, I still got it, but I had to sell most of my like assets for that. So yeah, it's just the way it is. But like I said, I'm not gonna whine about it on Reddit or whatever. I don't care enough.
So one thing I do have regarding this Keepstar fight, because we know it's coming. Bomberwolf is excited. We're just like twiddling our thumbs and so excited. We're hyper. But the question the Poison Kevin's worried about, the thing he's worried about is, all right, do you assault it with caps and then you lose a headshot every so often, or like, you know, they just headshot a fax and then it bounces around? Or do you go with subcaps and lose 10 subcaps every time the Doomsday fires? And like his concern is, okay, if tie-dye hits, does that Doomsday keep hitting? Does it keep going on a 10-minute real-time scale, or does it hit on tie-dye time, which is like once a fight? So that's his concern.
It goes on tie-dye time. I've tested it. It does go on tie-dye time.
How do you
also, a thing to consider is that the DD from the Keepstar actually takes a lot of the cap of the Keepstar. So the Keepstar can maybe do like 6 or 7 times in a row, and then it's cap dry. So it's like, then it takes time to regen the cap, and then it can DD again eventually. It can't, like, let's assume you hit the damage cap. It takes you 24 minutes to reinforce it or to kill it, right? So in the whole like 24-minute window, it won't be DDing constantly because it will eventually run out of caps. They also have to make a choice. Am I going to run the point defense battery, for example, because that over time drains a lot of cap too. So if they decide to turn on the point defense for whatever reason, that will then result in them being able to DD less often. So there's a lot of things to consider when attacking the Keepstar.
What do you think is more dangerous from the Keepstar? Because I mean, you know, the super capital missiles can do a shitload of damage to a regular capital. I mean, that's how we destroyed a hilarious number, and I got to personally enjoy this during the Casino War, killing caps using and just Astra House missiles. You know, just the same missiles, just fitted on a small citadel. How quickly do you think a Keepstar, not bothering with Doomsdays, can take out a fax machine?
2-shot, probably. Yeah,
how many missile launchers do they have?
Like, they have 4 launchers. They have 8 high.
4 launchers. Yeah, they do. So the volley of the Keepstar is roughly 1 million. Like it does like 900k volley, or like little under 1 million volley.
So I mean, from a cap perspective, then, you know, the thing about the Doomsday, for people who are not aware how these things work, they're triggered based upon mass. So they'll go for the highest mass target on the field, from what I understand. So that means that if there's a bunch of Titans on the field, the Doomsday will zot Titans or do damage to them. But then you can still repair your Titans. One of the strategies, you know, is instead of getting distracted by the big shiny you know, of the Doomsday, would just be to try to preserve your cap for E-War and just point and take out as many faxes. How do you, I mean, I don't want you to expose your war plans here, because I actually want this to be a fight that hurts both of these sides, because I want all of you to lose. So I'm unbiased because I want to see as much suffering as possible from all of you in this upcoming fight.
Yes.
At least he's honest.
What are the, you know, what is the publicly available idea of the current optimal way to take out a Keepstar? Because nobody fucking knows yet.
I mean, we'll have to figure out by doing it. I don't think there's an optimal way to do it. I think, well, like, we have a bunch of ideas in our heads that we're gonna try, and the thing also is, like, you have to hit it 3 times in a row, right? Like, you have to hit it, then you have to hit it again, and then you have to, after 6 days you have to hit it again. I don't think it's smart to use the same strategy every single time, especially on the final reinforce, because they have 6 days to prepare for your last strategy. So basically what I'm thinking is you need to come up with 3 different strategies that are all viable, and that can all deal with the defender defending it and with the Keepstar itself. So that's kind of what the challenge is right now for me, to trying to figure out, like, trying to come up with 3 different strategies to attack a Keepstar that are all viable without losing you know, a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, can you hit the damage cap with enough? Like, how big? If you wanted to go all subcapital, for example, how many subcaps would you need to hit?
It's not
the
too
damage
bad.
cap?
It's not too bad. Like, so with resistances into consideration, it's 93k DPS damage cap. So that's roughly roughly 160, 170 battleships on average. So that's definitely doable. Like, looking at the numbers we have at our disposal right now, with Darkness, with MC, PL, NC dot, and everybody else that might show up to kill a Keepstar, we can easily hit the damage cap with just subcaps. I don't think caps will be necessary. The question is, do we want to have that many people around? Like, do we want to make that much tie-dye for ourselves, or do we want to try to hit it with as little with as little people as possible, so we can keep the tie-dye down low, so it doesn't take forever? That kind of thing, I guess.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'll just go ahead and put a marker out here on the field, which is that if you guys do go for a big subcap spam strategy, then that makes you quite vulnerable to bombs, which we already have deployed Bomber Waffer out there. And
That's true.
again, like I said, we want to make you all suffer because you're all our enemies. So
Yes.
the challenge is, I think there's a balance between getting it done as quickly as possible using caps, which then means that you have to use fax machines, which will be the first target for the Keepstar, assuming the person gunning it isn't an idiot. And then when you lose your fax machines, if you've got anything serious on the field, all of that is at severe risk.
One thing Poison Kevin brought up, and he said, and I thought this was interesting. I was thinking about this just yesterday. When it comes to just using subcaps, is that because the Doomsday does 4 million damage to the first thing and all the way down to 1 million, that's a lot more than any subcap has for HP. So if you do just subcaps, you're losing 10 every Doomsday. Right, and on top of that, the FC, if you're doing just subcaps, gets headshot. But here's the question that one of the people had for me they wanted me to ask: Will the fancy Titan show up if you do caps? Like, will you bring that thing on grid with the Keepstar?
The Vanquisher? Oh yes, I will.
Yeah. Oh,
I will. I don't care. Like
that thing's like a trillion-esque loss mail, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it is.
It's
And
more
I mean,
expensive than
eventually,
the
it's
Keepstar.
like I think it eventually might die because I've been dropping it on
Because you've
cruiser
been an
gangs.
idiot?
Yeah, I've dropped it on. I dropped it on cruiser gangs. I dropped it into TVN earlier when CO2 did their move up. They had 500 people in their system. I dropped the Rorqual in MTech-O with the Vanquisher and killed it. And I mean, if I do it like this, then it will eventually die. But like, I don't really buy ships to not fly them. So obviously, yes, it will hurt a lot because it's a very expensive fitting and shit. But if it happens, it happens, and I use it as a normal Titan. Whenever PL fields Titans, I bring that thing, and if PL decides to bring Titans to kill the Keepstar, I will bring that thing. It's not going to change anything.
Here's a question, and it's one that I often find myself asking, and I'm going to point this at Kelmac, which is NC Dot planning on going to war in some capacity and not asking PL to come do all the heavy lifting when things get bogged down?
What? Jesus.
No, seriously though.
How do you go from your first question was like, so you weren't here for the first couple months?
Yeah, no. But I mean, it's an interesting thing. We've heard some chatter about, it's been a long time since I've seen PL and NC Dot ever split up and go do things separately. So, I mean, how do you feel about
we're just
that?
throwing it out. I mean, we like doing stuff together, I guess. We're bros.
What's the difference from being in NC Dot versus being in PL?
Well, PL has Ron Mexico, I guess, so that's a difference.
Well, I have this question though. So this is an interesting question. So with BL breaking up, you guys all went separate ways, right? You have Elo now is in CO2. You have the PLFC, whatever his name was. I don't remember who that guy was. And then you have yourself, Capri. Ipsimus is over there, and PL, I think. And then you're all in like different groups, like shooting each other, which is kind of hilarious. But then the question I have though, this is I guess the most important question I have, is test next. So Tribute's done, CO2's out. You've gotten rid of them. Do you turn towards Vale and go, okay, bye-bye?
Man, I think our members are kind of like ready for a break, sort of. But on the other hand, like USA's been kind of like starved for this because they set all the timers to Euro, obviously, or Aussie for a little bit.
That's true. And Test is Test still primarily USTZ these days?
Oh man, when we rolled up in TV the other day, they had like 200 people in there. Or Billy had 200 people in fleet.
Yeah, I saw that you guys dropped on a couple of Vexers and it turned into 8 carrier kills. Like, what is Test doing to that? Because I saw that happen in Test staging system of all places. Were those carriers like on a gate, or like what happened that 8 carriers just got zapped?
I mean, do you know the full story, Capri? How it started?
Yeah, I was sitting there.
Okay.
One of those situations, right, where like you turn up in command channel because like someone else has already got it on the ball, and you just sort of like sit there and just see if they need help. and you're just like bashing your head off the desk because you're like, oh my god, what are we doing? It was one of those. What happened is Penif dropped his Revenant on me. It was like Penif and Vlad dropped 2 supers on, I don't know what, something stupid. Yeah, it was a Proteus. It was some stupid thing, like, it was really hubris. Then they got tackled, like, barely got out. That could have been really risky with Penif's fucking no-tank Revenant, right? They finally get out, but then it involves them getting more and more stuff tackled on a gate. And the second that they got tackled, someone had the foresight to start onlining the TVN jammer, because it was obviously just sitting on the pass, just anchored, right? So second it goes, just starts onlining it. Then it kind of just escalated because PL realized this really quickly, and Ron was like fucking just phoning everyone, realized that this needed to, you know, ramp up. We need to get people in here because in 20 minutes this is going to be like really bad if we don't have like 30 faxes in here. So it kind of just escalated like that. Test, realizing this, then formed up like a 250-man fleet in about 10 minutes. And then we formed Caps. What kind of happened though was the jammer got online, and that was great. But we kind of jumped the gun on bringing in the Caps, because the plan was like, let's be snipey with Dreads. You know, like the whole like Omega Fleet thing you guys were trying to do with the goons, right? But like, yeah, we just jumped the gun on it. So it didn't work out, and the carriers died, and then they got more help in, so...
Well, I mean, that sort of makes sense. One of the things that is a follow-up that was pointed out, so we have more and more people are watching this. It's a fascinating segment, so we're going to go a little bit longer than usual on this because we're getting lots of questions from our viewers. One of the things I want to point out here in Veil of the Silent is this constellation that I just linked in chat. So the discussion about whether PL and NC and Horde continue going into Veil, if you guys are going after CO2, there's this entire constellation where, if I remember correctly, they were doing a lot of super capital production during the Casino War. What are your plans for that constellation for Kelmac and Killer B?
What was the question again? Sorry.
There's a CO2 constellation, a CO2 held constellation in Veil of the Silent, which is where these guys have been building their supers for some time now. Are you guys going to continue to prosecute the war against CO2 into that territory?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I plan to anyways. We're also going to take the, I think it's Villi's, Fortizar, and TVN.
So, Villi's Fortizar, whoa!
That's an interesting development.
Tell me why. What happened there? Did Villy piss you off or something?
No, Ron that's like Ron's goal, I guess.
Oh, Ron Mexico. Oh, that makes sense.
So, Ron... So, that's an interesting question. That was something that was brought up a little bit earlier. It seems like there was this entire generation of Black Legion affiliated FCs that are just now running fleets in PL and NC and just scattered in some cases CO2. Why is that, do you guys think?
It's a good question. I mean, it just turned out that way. I don't know.
I think it's putting the chicken before the egg. I don't think it's that Black Legion created those people. I think it's that the people who kind of had that in them were attracted to what Black Legion was at a certain point in time.
How does that make you feel with Elo Knight now joining CO2 and leading them?
I'm just excited that Elo's playing again. Elo's like Elo's at his peak is absolutely by far the best FC I've ever played with in this game. So I'm just, if he gets into it again, I mean Phoebe just killed this game for him. He just wasn't interested anymore. So, dude, if he gets excited again and starts playing, I think that's good for everyone.
Well, it's good for Test, I would assume, because I mean, if PL and NC are going to continue into Veil of the Silent, not only to get rid of that constellation that CO2 still has, but also to blow up Villi's Fortizar in TVN. Now, I haven't been paying perfect attention. Is TVN the main stager these days for Test?
Yeah.
Okay, so Ron Mexico has put a marker to go into Test's primary staging system and blow up Villi's Fortizar.
Oh, hey, Infinity Space. Sorry,
there's already, while we've been talking, there's been a Nyx that was destroyed, some random Snuffbox Nyx, and also
a 10 billion Rorqual in Veil.
10 billion Rorqual. So interesting. I mean, all the way around. So Elo is back, and that's just within a very short period of time. So now you have Elo and Capri on the sort of Black Legion alumni side of the aisle on the Test and CO2 era. Do you believe that? How well, Capri, do you think is CO2 going to be able to help defend Test from Venal?
I mean, it's actually not that hard to get there. Like, it looks really far by light years, but by gates, it's really not that hard. So it just depends where, you know, or PL decide to stage, I guess.
Sorry, that's a Shadow Cartel next to guys, not not a stuff box. I get it
Gates were
mixed up.
pretty hard today, I think.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, that's basically the answer to that question. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty rough. I mean, I'm sure if they need to, they'll restage, you know, like become their server or something. I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. It's kind of. I mean, that's what we're doing right now. We're just sort of seeing what they're gonna do. In my view, personally, this war is kind of over. I mean, I think the Keepstar is gonna die either way. It's just like, you know, what are they gonna lose in the what are we gonna be able to kill in the process? So after that, I kind of you just gotta sit and see what happens. I don't think there's too much
Have
question in it.
Test and CO2 utilized caps in any way in this war, with the exception of that one drop right at the start where GigX put all the dreads right
SH1.
in Facebook range.
Yeah.
There, no, there was that. Well, they used that one when we killed PK Stein. We did.
And FTech7 when you guys won the iHub timer for 110 billion ISK or something.
Yeah, the world's most expensive.
Quote-unquote.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
so,
there's CO2 have but CO2 are very gung ho with dreads. They just like, I think yes they have like a lot of like really strong industry guys who just can build them really fast and really cheap. So they're pretty gung ho about losing them.
So
how does that make you feel? Hold on. How does that make you feel though? Like, right? So when you had the casino war with Goons and everyone, we specifically avoided feeding you an endless stream of things. And here we have CO2, and GigX seems to be proud of his fact that he's losing Macarial fleets left, right, and center, and dreads and all this stuff because, well, his pride's at stake. How do you? Does that make you just like glee with a smile, like a twinkle in your eye?
Who, Ansi or me?
Both of you, like all of you.
The way I look at it is like it's a game, right? Like if you've got an alliance of people who enjoy fighting, I mean, it's a game. Go do the thing that you find fun. If that means feeding hundreds of billions of ISK, I mean that's whatever. Like if you, I mean, not to be like, you know, kind of dismissive of it, but like if you had fun, then what is the issue here? I mean, you have fights, like you build dreads and supers and titans so that you can use them in spaceships, and they're spaceships, so sometimes they'll die, and that kind of just happens. Like that's how I feel about it. I'm like good on them, and I think Killa feels probably the same way because we were talking about this before.
I haven't used my Titan in a while, so that's why I've had it parked. I was dropping it on gates.
We don't have any Titans, unfortunately.
So
they're still 93 PI exactly.
Yeah. I had a really important question come my way just a minute ago. One of my favorite goons, lol, asked me to ask this at NC. So there was an NC update recently by Vince where he said, "Fuck alpha clones, send them to Horde." And a lot of people view alpha clones. Vince Draken did in his CEO update. And he said, we don't want alpha clones, send them to Horde. So my question for Kelmec is then, why don't you want them? I mean, aren't they like a new thing? They could eventually be these people. I mean, because you can RMT your way, I use RMT loosely, to 100 million skill point character pretty quickly if you're an alpha clone and you enjoy the game. So why throw them by the wayside so easily?
Like I usually like RMT your way up, but I mean, like one of the requirements right now in the Alliance is everybody has to have a fax, so it's kind of hard to require that from an alpha clone, I guess, right? And it's not like he doesn't like them; he just thinks there's a better spot for him. I mean, we're not very newbie friendly, I guess. Not to be derogative towards new players, but Horde or Karma Fleet or something would be much better fit, where they like help them with skill plans and skill books and all that sort of stuff.
I think that sort of brings into a broader question, because alpha clones is, you know, something that you can make a lot of money in. And another question that I do keep seeing in a number of chats here, also for PL and NC. Given the small elite force, which has thus far been funded by dark money sources, how are your alliances adapting to an environment where you cannot rely upon casino money?
Is it directed to all of us?
This difference so far. I mean,
it's directed to Kelmac and Tequila B.
Okay.
Yes, both of you.
Okay. For us as PL, I mean, the Lenny was probably the biggest contract that we had in a while for PL. Is that? So it is something that we were like, basically after the war was over and the contract was over, you know, I was like, hey, but there's probably going to be another contract from Lenny, so it turns out that's not going to happen. But PL's never been in a spot where it's like, oh no, we run out of money, now we're fucked, that kind of thing.
Well,
so,
you've always had Eve Bet, of course, not I Want Disc, but now you don't have Eve Bet either.
That's true, but like honestly, on the whole EVE-Bet thing, like I don't think any of the EVE-Bet money went directly to the Alliance. It was some corps that got funded by EVE-Bet. Like I think VDD was like funded by EVE-Bet in that sense, but VDD is not in PL anymore, so I can't really talk about that. Generally, we find our way to make our money. May it be moons, may it be people. There's still contracts out there. There's still people contracting us for stuff. For example, we have people asking us if we can defend their citadels for them and stuff, and then they offer us to pay us, a weekly fee or something, and that's something I think we'll get along. But obviously, it's a big chunk of money gone out of the game. So yeah, there's that. But I don't think it's going to affect us too much. We've always been fine before Lenny, and we'll be fine after Lenny.
Excellent answer, Kelmac. How about NC Dot?
I mean, we'll be all right. Historically, we've always found a way. So we made a little bit of money with Northern Associates before, I think. So I think we still got some of that left over.
Are you guys promoting your renter organizations? Oh, I'm sorry, Capri. What did you say?
I was saying there's also the fact that they still have renter, like a renter alliance, like a small thing going on.
Oh yeah, do you guys
Tanker,
still? Do you still have access to that renter alliance? The one that lives in the drones? That what's her name? Lady Scarlet runs?
I think she still takes care of a lot of it, but we're not as
okay, which one do you use the anonymous frog?
Anonymous? Well, I'm not the anonymous frog.
Because you're all spamming once.
That? Oh, it's me.
No, it's not me.
Okay, I'm just checking. Thank you. Go ahead. Sorry. Carry on.
It might have been me.
But that's weird though, because all right, so it's very confusing for me.
I'm just really confused by the whole anonymous frog thing.
So, sorry, it was our notes. There was a spam of ones in our notes. So I was like, oh god.
Let me sort of ask a different question here, which is, I might be asking the wrong questions because you guys are fleet commanders. Do any of you, the three of our guests, have anything to do with the finances or the financial planning for your alliances, or are you mostly just focused on killing people?
I'm focused on killing people, but I know the finances of PL, but I just don't really care, honestly. The reason why I left Nully back in the day was because they told me I couldn't do something I wanted to do because they wanted to save money, and that was something that I just didn't get in line with. I never wanted to be told I can't do a certain thing because the Alliance can't afford it. And I've never been in that situation with BL. When I whelped at the start of the war, when I whelped those Dreads and the Napak fleet to the Lawn Hurricane fleet and the XIX Foons, I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
Yeah, so when that happened, if I would have been in Nully at that point, there would have been a bunch of people coming at me being like, "Oh, killer, we can't afford it," that kind of. And in PL, nobody gave a fuck. So at
the time they had all the casino money, right?
I mean, that was before we got contracted officially by Lenny. The contract for PL started on the 1st of March kind of thing. Well, we deployed to Akora on the 1st of March, and then we kind of worked out the terms of contract and stuff maybe a week before 2DW, I think. So that was before that. But, I mean, we don't pay SRP in PL either. The main line DPS ships aren't being SRP'd. We SRP Dreads. And we SRP caps and we SRP Logis and links and that kind of stuff. So the Dreads were SRP'd, yes, but I mean, it's not like all the money that PL ever had only came from I1ISK or EVE-Bet or whatever. There's been plenty of other ways of income.
Interesting point that you did come from Nully Secunda. I want to bring things back around to Capri. And Aquila, you are of course now fighting against Test, and one of the most famous people to join Test recently was ProGod Legend, who I like to call Piggles. So after Piggle has joined Test, is that unusual for you, Aquila, to be shooting that guy? And Capri, first question, let me ask Capri, how active has Piggles been in this war?
He was really crazy active, totally ran the show the first week, but he had to very quickly take a step back because he's got some real life stuff going on.
Sort of like his Delve deployment?
That was the biggest waste of money that Lenny has ever invested in, man.
But no, I mean, I know the specifics of it. I'm just not saying out of respect. But yeah, he's had some actual major real life stuff going on just now. But yeah, I mean, he was super active running the show the first week, so pops in and helps now and then when he has time. So
who's running the show over there now? Is it you and Villy? I mean,
it's kind of it's basically me and Rustrog have been kind of doing it jointly. Rustrog has taken more a kind of coordinator role, and then I've just been around to FC like any major big fight against someone.
I mean, Villy has been, from what I can see, active in chat, especially that you have, or that it's been said that Ron has put a marker on his TV in Fortizar. So that's confusing to me.
I mean,
I thought that Villy was more active.
Well, what I'd say is that the difference here is that this war has pretty much entirely been prosecuted in the EU/late AUTZ. And Villy is the absolute definition of USTZ.
That's right.
So he's not really had
totally
much.
Right.
He's not been able to.
That's fair.
So,
And he's saying that Rusrog has been probably the biggest guy on the test side, who
so
I've never
the question
heard
that I
of
have next,
before.
though,
Yeah, it's his first rodeo with this kind of thing, but he's done a good job.
will Tess be doing? So here we have a situation where in Euro time zone, CO2 just got dominated, right? They're outnumbered 2-1. Will Tess move to US time zone then, since they have a lot of US time zone guys, and say, okay, come out in US time zone?
Yeah, Tess is a massive US time zone. A little bit rusty, but yeah, I mean, like...
Well, I mean, like, your timers and stuff. Like, will they all be US time, or are they going to stick to the Euro like kind of CO2 did and say, okay...
I think they're all US right now. I don't know if that's going to stay. We'll find out, I guess, but... Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much, for the most part, they're like early US... They're like that kind of early USTZ, you know, where it's like very plausible for EU guys to help out on the weekend kind of timers.
Interesting. Okay, I've got another question here, which is on a slightly different topic, which is, you know, PL and NCDOT are essentially, they might have Pandemic Horde, but both of those organizations, which are the prime movers in this war against Test and CO2, and now primarily coming up about to be against Test, are not really doing anything with alpha clones. So I wanted to ask you, Capri, like, what exactly, how are you going to leverage the strategic potential of alpha clones to defend your space and your people?
I don't think that I mean, for what it's worth, let me put a disclaimer here that, like, I don't have anything to do with that kind of thing, but I've talked to the people who have. Pretty much, like, tests are viewed on alpha clones is just, like, the same as trial accounts, same as dealing with new people. Like, you want to come try out the game, see the best what it has to offer, like, you're welcome. But I mean, we're not kind of seeing it as like a strategic opportunity, if you know what I mean. It's not like a... You get what I'm saying?
I mean, that's very confusing to me, because I mean, here in Goonswarm and in the wider Imperium, we're all over alpha clones. We see them as a massive strategic opportunity. The game has more people playing it than ever before. And also, if you're interested in joining the Imperium, of course, has lost everything to Dear Killaby here. Please do feel free to check out Karma Fleet and Ascendancy and our crew, because we actually do pay attention to the alpha clones because we believe that they matter. Shameless plug, but that's weird. I mean, that's just fucking weird. I mean, you guys have, I mean, maybe, do you think that your organization isn't grasping towards leveraging alpha clones as a defense because they have internalized this attitude that you were talking about earlier, that you think the war is inevitably lost and all that matters is battles instead of wars?
No, I mean, I think in this kind of war, like, I mean, so sorry, what you're asking me is like that's like a very short-term thing, right? You're saying like, do I think that like alpha clones can turn up and be like the deciding factor in this war? I think when you're fighting an entity like NC and PL, specifically that qualifier, fighting a group like that, I don't think they can help a whole lot. Like, I don't think they're you know, switch the tide, as you will. Like, however,
have you heard of something called an EWAR frigate?
I have, but that doesn't really work.
Logistics cruisers?
Definitely work.
Logistics cruisers? Alright, you say it doesn't work, so look at Brave Movies.
I'm trying to help a brother out here.
Yeah, we're trying to give you help, man!
We're trying to help you out here, because
you
otherwise,
understand.
Kelmac and Killaby are going to steamroll your guys, and, you know, I'll just be sitting here, oh, wow, okay, I mean, you know, that's the thing. I mean, you know, how much fun has it been? I'm going to turn around a question and ask Kelmac and Killaby, how much fun have you guys fighting us over the years? How much fun have you had getting stuck against one of our fuck you fleets?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the best example of how to abuse EWAR. And whenever it was brought up against us, it's been a pain in the ass. And you know, I mean, there's the frigate version of the fuck you fleet, right, with the Molluses and stuff, which is even worse in my opinion, because they're not as easy to
love
catch.
Molluses.
Tell us why the frigate version of the fuck you fleet is even more annoying to an elite PvPer.
Elite PvP, yeah, I'm so elite. No, I'm just saying, they're easier to get into, even though I don't know, like, I mean, Celestis is super easy to get into too, but I mean, it's a frigate instead of a cruiser, and then in my opinion, it's even harder to catch because it's not a cruiser goes way faster into warp. It can sit at like ridiculous ranges. I don't know the numbers exactly. I'm not into that, but they can sit basically, like, let's just say like 200 and damp your fleet, and there's not much you can do about it because
especially if they put a cruiser size, a 10M afterburner on.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. They're basically uncatchable at that point.
And one thing someone pointed out to me also is that the Logi cruisers can be used by an Alpha clone, and so that's 500 or 50 to 100.
Yeah.
They could fly size.
Logi ships.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So I mean, okay, well, Test is not interested, and PL and NC Dot are not interested in Alpha.
We'll take
clones,
them.
But
I'll take Alpha clones.
we have, as you can hear from the horse's mouth, we have used these frigate fuck you fleets, which are E-World platforms, strategically for years now, to ruin our enemies using the power of newbies and targeted rage. So if Test won't take the help that we offer through our generous advice in the meta show, maybe some of our viewers will.
Yeah.
Interesting. So
oh, here we go. Here's another one. I got another one for you. One of PL's fax machines that was gating in the M-Show fight got killed by 60 Alpha clones in Thrashers because he got caught at the gate by, I think it was just like a random Alpha clone rogue from some high-sec people.
We also lost another one that was just sitting and lighting a Sino on our staging for Desire in SH1, and he was like getting wrecked by the Thrashers and the Alguses, and he just wouldn't speak up. Nobody, like, I was sitting there in my Vanquisher right next to him, right, and he just died to 100 Thrashers, Alpha clones, and wouldn't speak up. And then later we were like, wait, what is this apostolos here? It's pretty hilarious. I mean, my opinion on Alpha clones is I love them because I really think that they are needed in the game, because EVE needs more players. With Phoebe, they kind of made the map bigger, even though they didn't really change the map, but because they decreased like jump ranges and the way you can move, they kind of increased the size of the map. So the game needs more players to make the game feel as alive as it felt before Phoebe, in my opinion. So I think in that sense Alphas are great. And yeah, I mean, everybody. I kind of agree with Capri in the sense of I don't think they're gonna have. I don't think personally they're gonna have a huge impact on strategic warfare. Even though like you make good points with the Molluses and stuff, but I love that there's just a easier way for people to get into the game, and then they have plenty of alliances they can go to as Karma Fleet, Horde, or Pancakes or whatever. There's plenty of alliances out there that are very friendly towards these newer players that give them a way to go. So,
that's a good segue there. What's Horde's part been in this war thus far?
So Horde mainly. So obviously this is super hilarious, right? I'm going to tell you this story. So Goblins kind of wanted to move Horde into Tribute to have a more centralized space that is easier to reach from high-sec, that is easier to get to from Jita, so he could supply his alliance easier with stuff, and having access to low-sec as well, having access to wormholes and that kind of stuff. So this kind of war started because Goblins decided he wanted Horde in Tribute, and then NC tagged along, and then eventually we tagged along. And then like 3 or 4 days ago, Goblins convoed us and was like, guys, because of the jump ranges and all that kind of stuff, I don't feel like we actually want to live in Tribute anymore, so we're just not going to take it. And then I was like,
when did he do this?
Yeah, wait, what was this? Because I didn't hear about this.
No, I mean, it's not that public yet, but I just decided to release it today.
It was recent enough that he told me, like, when we were just chatting before you dragged us in.
Yeah, it is. So it was like, let me find out.
Wow.
So that was like a couple days ago.
You can't make this shit up.
So yeah, so who's gonna own the space now then? Because you just kicked out.
That was on November 23rd, so that's 3 days ago.
Yeah, so I mean, like, so what ends up happening to space? Like, do the CO2 just walk back in a month?
So now it's up to us, to me and Vince, to come up with a solution for Tribute. But yeah, that was kind of hilarious because I was like, man, classic Goblins right there. He drags us all into his war, and then he just like pieces out. But whatever, it's his choice, and I'm not mad about it. It's just like, well. We had
should yank that leash harder. I mean, I figured that you guys had him under control, but apparently not.
He does what he wants, dude. Goblins does what he wants. Just like Retza does what he wants with Waffles, and
Oh, what about...
actually, hang on a second, but I got to follow up here. So I got to ask Capri this, because Capri, like you just heard, and as one of the leading lights on the side defending Tribute, you just heard just before the meta show. Now all of our viewers here on live TV, that there is no occupying force to hold tribute planned after this war is lost. So does that change your estimations about the ability of Test and CO2 to defend against a force that can't occupy tribute?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like, I have absolutely 100% faith that, like, that they can take it back, like, because NC and PL are going to leave at some point. I mean, they're not going to hang around here forever. Like, I know this is funny because I remember making fun of you saying this about 6 months ago.
Oh,
but,
it's almost as if I turned out to be right all along. But continue.
Yes.
Well, anyway, yeah, but yeah, no, I mean, they're going to be gone in like a month or two, and they won't be here to defend it. I mean, and can you imagine, like, see if Horde stayed? Because, like, we could eat Horde alive, dude. Like, CO2 and TAS together against just Horde? Like, is that a joke?
It is a joke.
It is a joke, but now it's an empty
yes,
joke.
Yes,
now,
so here's
now it's a joke without a punchline.
So this gets even better, though. So that's the question, because didn't Vince explicitly say in his CEO date, don't get used to having Solve, we're never going to have Solve, we're not going to live anywhere, and now he's got an entire region that's like, oh shit, now it's mine.
Well, I don't think Vince is going to take it because NC doesn't want to be held down, but Kelnet can speak better to that. But I mean, that does, occupation is very important because having somebody live in a region requires people to actually rat and mine to raise ADMs, right? And PL and NC are not ratters or miners, and they're very proud of the fact that they're too cool for school.
I don't know about that.
Well, they might be miners, dude. They might be miners.
Have a look at the tribute map. I mean, it's nowhere near like your ratting systems.
We have no ratting.
I don't know about
mining.
you.
There are no rock walls in Delve. This is not an environmental disaster area.
Killis spent this whole time that we've been chatting just mining away in his Oracle. Like,
yeah,
I'm actually not even
so that's our next.
So that's
our next question. Here we go. One of the questions someone asked me is, what do you guys think about the new Oracle? Do you think it's going to bring balance to the force in terms of able to mine an entire region in a day?
I think it's great. It's going to make things cheaper. That means that it's easier to PvP. I just think it's like a great thing all around. Also, here's the thing I was saying, like, to a few other people, is like, for the first time that I've ever played EVE, people who are like hardcore PvPers, people who like don't even PvE is like unless they really have to, are excited about mining. Like that's a pretty good patch. That's all I'm saying.
I have a Oracle. I ain't gonna lie. I hate mining, and I have a Oracle. I can just AFK mine an entire belt.
Mines.
I never was interested in mining because for mining to be profitable, you had to run like at least 5 or 6 accounts like Hulks for it to be, in my opinion, profitable. But now I'm sitting here in Oracle and I'm mining 400 million ISK an hour on the current mineral prices, and now that's not huge, but considering how passive it is, how AFK you can do it in that sense, it's great. I love it. And I mean, yeah, the Oracle as a mining boat is really busted, and the Oracle has so much more potential. The whole like 10 light years range with the 90% fatigue reduction that the jump fighters get, it's a pretty big deal. I think there's a lot of shenanigans to be done with Rockwells, even in combat.
What do you think about them as fax hackers instead of a fax machine using an Oracle? That 10 light year range of that reduction.
I think that's broken, and that's going to get changed, like, because that's really dumb.
Well, you say that, but you look how long it takes them to change this people. 2 years, 3 years.
I have actually a follow-up question here, and this relates to, I mean, this is a big revelation that Gobbins had committed Horde to taking tribute, and I don't even know whether the guys in Horde know that they were going to be taking tribute, and now they're not. So maybe they got to find out here.
No, they don't. Nobody knew that.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Well, congrats, Horde! You heard it live on the
Meta Show. You're not getting tribute Saw's mates. So, the question here, previously there had been rumors that PL and NC were going to be coming to the catch conflict after they're done with tribute. And Peace and Pork was asking this question in chat. Does the revelation that Gobbins is not going to be occupying tribute mess with your timelines?
It doesn't. I mean, like, this is hard to believe, and I mean, some people might not believe even if I say so, but PL, Horde, and Waffles also work very independently, and, like, I mean, most of the people know about PL, that PL has mainly been run by their active FCs, and, like, no offense to Gobbins, and I know if Gobbins ever listens to this, I know you, I love you, but, like, I don't give a shit what decisions Gobbins makes when I decide what I want to do with PL. Like, if he decides to go to tribute, then it's fine. If he decides not to, then it's fine. And if I decide to go to catch, then I don't care what Waffles do or what Horde do to like decide whether or not I want to do it with PL. like I see us as completely independent alliances, even though obviously there is some connections in between us, and if there would ever be really desperate times, we would probably stick together. But as of right now, I feel like they can do whatever they want, which is also why I'm not mad at Goblins for making this call on Tribute. For
I mean, I'd say that with Reza and Stigwaffles, that's certainly true. I mean, I've always seen Stigwaffles as being far more independent. I am a little surprised by this, though, because, I mean, as, you know, an autocrat in nullsec, you know, your word is very important, and making strategic plans is very critical, especially when people are moving assets around. I'm shocked that this happened, because when you're using Horde as your sub-capital support, and then they turn around with no notice and tell you that they're not going to do this thing, you know, that throws a lot of things into disarray. You're going to have to, if you want Tribute to be held, you're going to have put somebody in there. I mean, who are you going to do? Get Darkness?
Oh yeah. So here's a question. Someone just said, actually, chat's blowing up here. Are you guys going to catch? This is the chat's going. Oh my God! Wait, who's going to catch? So what's this about catch?
I don't think the content in catch is gonna be interesting enough, but
dude,
that might change.
It's the wrong direction, dude. Fucking Braver and Fade, no.
So actually, here's an interesting bit. You say Horde just finding out for the first time. One of our, I guess, most viewed members, guys who watches the show all the time, is a guy who's in Spaceship Samurai, and he's like, "Oh shit, we're not going to Tribute now." So I feel really bad. He just found out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already getting shit on by some people for leaking
Oops!
stuff. But, you know,
way to go! Hey, it's all right. We leak shit all the time here on the Meta Show. That's what the Meta Show is.
Can I join Goons if I get kicked from PL over this? Is there a refuge for me?
Service guarantees citizenship. You might have to do some time in the trenches of the Black Hand.
That's fine.
Yeah, we have a lot of ex people that do their work. As long as they work.
I think we're gonna have to wrap it up here, boys and girls. This has been a fantastic show. Yeah, absolutely. We went over, but we had a great time here. I wanted to thank our guests, Capri Sun Craft Foods from Test, Kelmac from NC Dot, and Killa B from PL, of course. And also a guest thank you for Gobbins for allowing us to have this little political bombshell to drop here on live TV. That is
so here's one. Here's we have a 25-month resubscribe for Mythic Myth. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we got a lot of shout-outs to do.
Happy Little Beast, 16 months. Thank you. And Kane Fellmount, 20 months. Again, thank you, sir.
Excellent. All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Show. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
the boat show coming up next.
And next week, what do we have planned?
I don't know, but according to feedback, they really enjoy this whole, like, let's get random FCs in here to talk about everything they want to talk about. So we might have that again next week.
We'll see if we can do this again. That'd be fantastic. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming on. This is
hey, a new Twitch Prime sub. Look at that, right as the show's ending.
Lol, you brick. Excellent.
Yeah, so up next, the boat show. I have no idea what I'm going to be playing. I'm going to play something. So we'll see.
The boat show.
Okay. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to the Meta Show, and we'll see you next week.
Next week, same time, same channel.
Yep.
Cheers, guys.
You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the meta. The meta controls everything. The meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching The Meta Show.